if you came to this video based on the title, you know that motorcycling for us is not just something we do, it's an obsession. So if I'm not riding, I'm thinking about riding. Or I'm watching videos of people riding. Or I'm watching videos of people talking about riding. Or like this time of year, I love watching videos of the EICMA convention and looking at all the models that are coming out for 2025. So it's a really great thing. But I came into motorcycling later in life, having ridden when I was younger. So like many of you, you probably rode when you were a kid. And now you're older, maybe retired or close to retirement, your kids are grown up, so now you can start maybe thinking about getting back into it. So that was me 8 years ago. So the reason for this video is I want to talk a little bit about some of the choices I made, how I chose the bikes that I have ridden for the past 8 years, and how those choices I think really helped me have a really great experience. So I want to share a little bit of advice with you and take whatever you want, but it's been my experience and it's been a good one. But let's start with the bikes. I'll start kind of working backwards. Okay, so I've owned 4 motorcycles in the past 8 years. This is the newest one. This is the Yamaha Super Tenere. I don't know if you can see it, or I don't know if I'm framed in the video, but it's a 2014. I bought this a year ago for $8,500, private party. And it's the ES model, so it has the electronic suspension adjustment, all the creature comforts, cruise control, heated grips, suspension adjustment, traction control, all of those things. So it's a new thing for me to have those kinds of things like ABS and things that you probably take for granted. But for me, it's a new thing to have creature comforts like that. The 4 bikes that I bought them all used, and it wasn't just because of budget that I did that. I don't really like buying new vehicles and drive them off the lot and have them depreciate thousands of dollars right after I do that. But the other thing about getting used is if you're smart and you're patient, you can get bikes not only for way under market, but you can also get them with some really great upgrades that you don't have to pay for. I hope to do some off-roading. I don't have any illusions about doing anything crazy, so a B road here and there or a fire road to get to a campsite. But Yamaha reliability, so I would have absolutely full confidence taking this thing cross country. And buying it private party, the other thing I'm going to share is that all 4 of the bikes I bought them from the original owners. So that minimized another variable of not really knowing who owned the bike or who may have abused it. All of the owners except the first one, I met them personally. And I talked to them and I wanted to know who they were. I wanted to know how old they were. If it was a young guy selling a bike, like a couple I looked at, I immediately took it off my list. So this guy here was a military guy about my age. Gave me a stack of receipts for the dealer service he had done. He didn't do any of his own maintenance, so I had all the receipts to prove the things that he had done. So I was really confident in the purchase, and it's turned out to be bulletproof, reliable. But I've only had it a year. I've only put on about 4,000 miles on it, but so far so good. The next bike I bought, this one I bought in 2002, and I bought this as a tour, just like a long-distance touring bike. I like cruisers. I had my eye on the Triumph Rocket 3, and so I bought it. I got it used again from the original owner, and being a 2006 bike, buying it in 2022, that's a lot of years. 15, 14 years. Original owner put 14,000 miles, so about 1,000 miles a year. He was an older guy that had to sell it for health reasons. He was in his 70s. He couldn't handle it anymore, and he didn't ride it anymore. So I ended up buying this one for $3,200. He had it listed at close to $5,000. He gave me a stack of receipts of the dealer service that he had done. I actually called the dealer and asked, and they said, "Oh yeah, that's Ray's bike." So that filled me with confidence that he was telling the truth and that he took good care of it. Being older, he probably wasn't flogging it when he was riding. But this bike, the beauty of this one are the upgrades that he did that I didn't have to pay for. So this Corbin alligator seat, these Corbin peanut side cases probably cost close to $1,500 when he did it. Color matched, beautiful. I love the way it matches the shape of the rear fender. It's not to everyone's taste, but I certainly like it. He also did the catalytic converter delete, so he changed out the exhaust, and he added that really beautiful windscreen there. So this bike, 15,000 miles, I bought it, original owner, everything that he did I could substantiate, perfectly reliable. You can have these, find these used for really cheap, but buy this one especially, know the owner, buy from an older person, because these bikes, if you buy it from a younger person, they're probably racing them and abusing them, so buyer beware on these things. I'm glad I bought from the person I did, and now I'm sort of reaping the benefits of that. The bike that I bought before that, the one I had before that, was this gorgeous 1999 Honda Valkyrie. Now this one I bought at an auto swap meet at a local junior college, and I went there not having any intention to buy anything. And it was Sunday, so it was a weekend. This bike sat there all weekend, not being sold. And so it was late afternoon Sunday. I called the guy. He told me over the phone that he was kind of needing to sell it because he was moving out of state, and he kept telling me that he'd be willing to go down in price, I think he had it listed at 52 or something like that. So after we talked a little bit, I told him, I said, how about 3,000 cash? And he thought for a moment, he said, okay. So he took it. So I got this gorgeous, beautiful Honda Valkyrie 1999. It was an amazing purchase for an amazing price, the most comfortable bike that I've ever ridden. The greatest thing though that he handed me was an invoice for a carb rebuild that he paid someone to do 3 months before I bought it. So those 6 carbs, they purred like kittens, and as most of you know, with carburetors, eventually you're going to have to do the service on them, and this rebuild was really expensive because his bike sat unused for a while. He was the original owner, having bought it new in '99, and I bought it in 2017, so almost 20 years old, and it had 14,000 miles on it, so less than 1,000 miles ridden a year. But it sat for a while, so that's why he had the service, and he did that intending to get back into riding, but he had to move out of state. So I swooped in and I got that one, and it was just the perfect bike. I sold it because of the really crappy tank range. It has a 5-gallon tank, and you would think that's enough, but boy, those 6 carbs, man, they ate gas. And you might not know this, but the Honda Valkyrie doesn't have a fuel gauge, so you have to use the odometer. And to access the reserve, you have to use the petcock underneath the seat. So I learned with this bike, I didn't want to wait till it was chugging out of gas and have to flip that switch. I would gas that thing up around 90 miles, and that's just not enough range to do any long range touring. In some ways I wish I kept it because it was just such a gorgeous bike, so smooth and so comfortable to ride. But that tank range was the killer for me, because I did intend it to ride long distances. That's one of the reasons why I bought this one. So bought it for whatever it was, $3,000. I sold it 4 years later for $5,500 to a guy on eBay. So I did really well on that one. The first bike that I bought 8 years ago, as I decided to get back into motorcycling, was this beautiful gray Yamaha Warrior. And this was a 2004. I bought it from a Ducati showroom floor, of all places. And this one sat there, obviously ignored, because people going in shopping for Ducatis they don't really give a shit about some metric cruiser sitting on the showroom floor at a Ducati dealership. So they obviously got it in on trade-in and probably paid peanuts for it, but they couldn't sell it. So I I emailed him and I had it listed for 46. I said, would you take 42 cash out the door? And they took it. So the 46 was before sales tax and all the other fees they snap on. So I did pretty well on that one. The Warrior was great, and this being my first bike in 25 years with a 1700cc engine, some people were trying to warn me off on it. Like they said, get a beginner bike or get like a Honda Rebel. But you know, I'm glad I really bought the bike I wanted and just, you know, adjusted to riding it. It wasn't really an adjustment for me because I had ridden before, and I'd like to maybe give you the same advice that if you had ridden before and you know how to work the clutch and you know all those things, getting on a bike later on in life, it was like riding a bike, for me at least. And at first, when I first got on it, I thought I was going to pop the clutch and like go flying off the back, but that bike was a peach. With that large engine, 110 horse, or 110 torque, 80 horse, it was a perfect like transition bike for me back into riding. It was fast enough to really enjoy. It sounded great. It looked awesome. It was just a beautiful, beautiful bike. And I really enjoyed the hell of that bike. No issues with it. I ended up sort of fortuitously buying it from you know, a dealer showroom floor, but it was an original owner. And this one was even less used than these other ones. This one was a 2004. I bought it in 2016 from the original owner, traded it in, and there was only 6,500 miles on the clock. So this thing was barely broken in. I mean, I don't know what this guy did. I just like bought it and it sat in his garage and it was in pristine condition. He had installed a power commander, which I didn't know what it was. And he had upgraded the exhaust, which everyone does to the Warrior because the stock exhaust is hideous. So when I was monkeying around pulling the baffle out, I learned how to use that power commander. So that was a really nice upgrade. So that bike was really great. I guess the long and the short of all of this is be patient when you buy, know what you want, know who you're buying from. And if they say they've done service on it or they say they've done the valve adjustments or whatever, ask for the invoices and receipts. Because I did look at other bikes. I looked at a Harley V-Rod, for example, and the guy that pulled it out of the garage was, you know, in his early 20s. And I'm like, no way. I asked him who does the maintenance. He said he did it all. I just didn't trust it. I sat on it, I test rode it, and it actually rode really well, but I steered clear of that just because of the guy's age. So know who you're buying from, get documentation for the things they say they've done to it. And I think that minimizes that the bike you're buying hasn't been used and abused. And I think that's one of the reasons why I've had a really great ownership experience. So I do think that buying from reputable manufacturers is also important. So 2 Yamahas, 1 Honda, and this Triumph. This Triumph obviously, you know, was made in the UK 2006. I know the new ones are now made in Thailand, which, you know, I think Triumph's had a pretty good reputation for reliability, but for bikes that I want to trust to take me cross country, I really gotta be sure, or at least as sure as I can be. So eliminating those variables when you buy used, I think, is really important. So insist on those things. Last thing is insist on taking it for a test ride too. So all of the ads except one of them, the owner said, you know, don't show up without cash in your hand, and you know, no low balls and whatever. You know, everyone's going to put that kind of stuff in an ad on Craigslist, but I went and I said, no, I want to ride it, you know, and I don't have the cash. I'm not really sure I want to buy it. So, you know, if you want to sell it, that's going to be my condition. Those are some things that I think I can suggest to you. Buy what you want and know who you're buying from. Take your time. ask for documentation, buy from reputable brands, and make sure you take it for a test ride. And so hopefully your experience will be as wonderful as mine. I mean, I just absolutely love, now that I'm retired and have more time and can really, enjoy the ride instead of like doing stupid stuff. For me, it's, about the journey. It's just enjoying the solitude of being on a bike and getting home in one piece. And I think you'll have a really great experience. So it's something I highly recommend that you do. I want to thank you very much for coming to my channel and watching this video. I hope it was helpful. I'm hoping to get more motorcycle content out now and share some other things that I've been doing on motorcycles. So thanks very much. Have a great day.